Do you believe in dice control or not? If you do believe dice control is a thing, and you want to then therefore qualify a shooter, what does it mean to qualify a shooter? If you believe that dice control doesn't matter and it's all random, then why are you qualifying a shooter? Like that's... Here's the question: do you qualify your shooters? That's the number one, right? In chat, answer me. Do you qualify shooters? And the most famous qualification is the Golden Touch Craps 5 count. Now I'm going to talk to actually at DiceCon. I get to interview one of the Golden Touch instructors, and I'm going to ask about the 5 count because I've got concerns about the 5 count, and I'll tell you what they are when we talk about it in Win Craps here in a minute. Do you take sacrificial roles? I know that my friend Dan Tana, who is the author of the Butterberg crap system, who I love that. I love that system. That's one of my favorite kind of random roller systems. It's an aggressive one. I love that system. He does what's called a sacrificial roll, which is like you'll get the point. All his bets are off for one roll, just to avoid that crazy 0.7 out, and then he goes in, right? Would you call it a qualifying the shooter? No, I think he's just trying to avoid disaster there, because disaster comes as a lot on that one shot. Do you sacrifice a roll for that? Do you wait for a repeater? I've played with guys who won't bet until somebody hits a number twice. Like basically a virtual come bet has to pay in their mind before they go out there. They want to see the shooter prove that they can make a point, right? Brian does this. Brian at Hawaiian Crap Shooters, for the longest time, their hedge strategy was, let's go out with a $100 lay 4 and a $30 6 and 8 or a $18 6 and 8. And they qualify the shooter by saying, if you can prove you can hit the 6 or 8 2 times, right, before the 7, the 4 covers that, the 7, the 6 and 8 cover each other. If you can do that, then we'll spread out and play on you. I've seen people bet on themselves differently than other people. Like, and again, we're going to talk about the idea of random shooters versus dice influence shooters, right? Here in a minute. But people who bet higher on themselves but still huck the dice like Greg at 555 Craps doesn't make any sense to me. So let's take a look at what does it mean to be a good shooter? And again, I'm going to definitely challenge you here, okay? I know we've got people in the audience that do not believe in dice control, okay? When I get through this, and I want your comments. I want you to let me know, hey, what do you think about this topic? But I do not want you to say dice control is bullshit and that's your whole comment. That's lazy. Don't be lazy in the comments. Don't be lazy in the chat. Don't say everybody who's random is a chicken feeder and don't deserve my money, because that's also a lazy comment. Give me some thoughtful adult thinking here. Do you believe in dice control or not? If you do believe dice control is a thing, and you want to then therefore qualify a shooter, what does it mean to qualify a shooter? Are you looking for somebody's set that they're using? Are you watching their hands? Are you looking for their stroke, their landing zone, the angle of attack in the wall, how hard what are you looking for? Like, if I'm a guy who I'm kind of on the fence with it, right? I think dice control or dice influence at least is potentially possible. So I'm looking for keys from guys and saying, well, I like the way that guy throws, right? In my brain, I'm saying, if this works, he's doing it right. I'm more likely to put an inside bet or two on somebody I've never seen throw before if I like what I see, quote unquote, from the throw. If you believe that dice control doesn't matter and it's all random, then why are you qualifying a shooter? Like, that's the question I've got. Like, why qualify? If every throw is random, there is no such thing as rhythm, there's no causality between dice throw 1 and dice throw 2, then is there such a thing as a good shooter at all? And if not, because there wouldn't be, if everything is completely random, then why qualify a shooter? That's the question I've got for you. So why would you qualify? In my opinion, qualifying shooters is wasting rolls, right? I don't love wasting rolls if I can help it. So let me go to Win Craps real quick. I want to show you a really quick comparison before I go roll some dice. Let's go to Win Craps. All right, there she is. Let's go to the screens here. I'm going to show you what I wrote for you. I wrote, actually I didn't write, I stole. I have a couple of scripts here that I think are interesting. One is going to be, let's get this thing spread out. One of them is going to be the 3-point Molly, which is super simple. The 3-point Molly system, I'll zoom in to the font here if we can. Let's see. Can I zoom? It's got to be Control plus, right? It's a Windows. I'm not used to Windows. So the 3-point molly is this. It's going to be basically, if you're a come out roll, you're on the pass line. Otherwise, if you have less than 2 come bets, you're on the come. And everything we automatically take full odds. So 3-point molly is simple. 3 bets, come bet, or pass line bet, 2 come bets in some configuration with max odds. Super simple, right? There's no qualification. We're just going to go play mathy craps. The Golden Touch 5 count is a little bit more complicated. This Golden Touch 5 count script I actually got from Steen at WinCraps. This is he's coded this thing out for us. And so it's got all the rules about the 5 count. It's got, you're counting up by 1 if you see an inside number, if you're whatever. He's got all the rules around here. You're waiting for five payable rolls before you go betting on somebody, which means you're watching sometimes 2 shooters go by. Sometimes you're watching 10 rolls go by before you go in and start making your very first bet, which is just a come bet, right? The 5 count is waiting for all these markers to happen. Then comes the come bet, and then you get in. So what happens here in the 5 count is you waste a lot of rolls. You're gonna make a shooter roll 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. They may get 2 come bets set and paid before you actually get a bet out there, which is really, really tough. And I think the idea behind it is that you reduce volatility because you're not losing on those shooters, but you're missing a lot of opportunity there. And our third player is going to be the Horseman. And the Horseman's going to be played like this. I'm going to play the Horseman in this thing with a $50 don't pass, come bets at 25. So it's the 2-to-1 ratio Horseman. If the come bet gets made, we're going to place the bet with what won. So let's say we have a $25 come 6, it pays, we turn it into a $30 place 6. Then we're going to half press from there on through. So we basically turn come bets to place bets and half press them. So that's going to be 3 systems, right? 1, 3-point molly, no qualify. 2, the 3-point molly, but the 5 count version of it. 3, the Headless Horseman, which has the don't pass component and 3 come bets with no odds and then place betting afterwards. I just want to see what I expect to see is, well, you got some idea of it here. You're going to see a little bit less volatility in the Horseman, more volatility in the molly, and an interesting level of volatility in the 5 count because, again, they're missing some rules. Let's get a new game going here. Not going to save that session. And let's run this a couple of times, and we'll just get kind of a sense of where these strategies compare. Let's go ahead and hit the button here. And I'm going to stop it real quick. Before we get to 0 here, before we do anything else, because we know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to go bankrupt here in a second. And let's just take a look at the amount of volatility that we see, which is interesting, right? The 3-point molly, because there's no waiting for anything to happen, right? That thing jumps straight up, right? On a good run, it gets really high, right? $2,200. They doubled their money. The Golden Touch craps, you can see here, this whole length in the beginning. Look at all that. There's like 4 or 5, maybe 15 rolls in here where they did no betting. Waited for a qualified shooter and then jumped in and got some money. And then down here, look at this. They experienced this loss differently than this guy did because they waited until roll 4, 5, or 6, got in, and then the 7 comes because the 7, as you know, averages every 6.5, 7 rolls. The Horseman, very low volatility. We're not making a lot. We're not losing a lot. We're just kind of inking along over in here. It will catch a run, but it's relatively safe the way that we're playing it. Let's finish this out and see who loses their money first. Well, right now, the Golden Touch craps is at 0. The 3-point molly is still up, and the Horseman is working his way down to nothing. And it's almost to 0. There it goes. Okay, lost their money. Let's go ahead and run it again. Let's see, stop. Yeah, I know. Let's do game new. I'm not going to save it. Okay, let's do one more run. Ba-boom. Okay. Ooh, ugly little run to get started here. But this is what I like, I like to see, right? Is that you got, oh, boy, they're already at 0. Stop it. So the molly had a bad run here and went right to 0. Look at that. They went to 0 in about 200 rolls. They went to 0 quick. Didn't make a ton of money. The GTC is at 0. They're about to be at 0 down here. And the Horseman is still galloping along, right? Not making a lot of money, We're edging along here, waiting for a good run. The horseman is designed to, again, make that long run work, but not long or short, but not the mids. So there you go. A little less volatility in here, higher volatility up here. Big home run potential in a molly, right? I think the Golden Touch 5 count to me, although it is less volatile overall, it still goes to 0 a lot of times before the molly does, which is, I think, fascinating. Let's do another run. Clear it out. No saving. Let's run it again, and then we'll get to the table. Boom. Let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that ugly start. Holy crap. The molly went to 0 in like 10 seconds. Golden Touch craps. Let's pause. The 5 count, actually. So the molly went right to 0. You see this here? It went right down to 0. Where the GTC, if you look at that flat line, that same section, that same first section here, this flat line, didn't bet when it was ugly. So these people didn't quote unquote qualify themselves, and GTC just skipped them and went into the battle. The horseman doesn't give a crap. It's just kind of, these are like those 0.7 outs. We're okay here for a little bit of a spike, and then we're riding the wave a little bit. So you'll see, again, less volatility here the way we're playing this. More volatility in these two, and it's about the run you catch when you catch it. These are so much more susceptible to that 7 showing up and taking everything. This one's susceptible early. This one over here, you go out with a come bet on roll 9. Roll 10 is the 7, and you're basically out of cash. So the volatility doesn't matter in terms of timing, right? I think wasting rolls is a tough one, even though this guy here went bankrupt that time. So let's come back over here. All right, take the glasses off. So that's that. I did see a note here from Midmo Yo, who says he made a video on qualifying, which is cool. I want to see that for sure. I know Jeremy from Color Up has done a full video with the whole 5 count. He played the whole 5 count to show you, and it can be a little bit boring, right, to play the 5 count. Never Say 7 says this. Anyone experience with locals saying you have to have action to stay at the table? My local, one of my locals right now, requires, and I've only seen this on busy tables, believe it or not. When I'm there kind of with just me and a couple of people, they don't really enforce it very much, but they're requiring us to have a line bet on the person in front of you. Not everybody, but just the person preceding you. So if you want to bet, if you want to get the dice, you gotta have a bet out on the person in front of you. I think it's going in that direction. I know in Oklahoma there's an ante for craps, which I think that there's a reason for that, where everything has to be a card game or something. It's something in the law. But yeah, out here, we're seeing some of that. We're seeing some of you have to have a line bet, at least on the shooter preceding you, so you can shoot, which means, and again, at a $5 minimum table casino, it's not that big a deal. In money-wise, it's a big deal. In my opinion, it's a big deal philosophically. Like, theoretically, that's not good for me. So yeah, it's definitely a thing we're seeing. And I really feel like you're going to start seeing more and more of that all around the table thing. I think you're going to see that thing kind of roll around the table where casinos are going to start requiring bets. You can't skip. So, what we just saw, the Golden Touch 5 count may not ever be a thing that you ever get to use. So, so there it is. All right, let's go back to